Yeah, so key thing to note here, this is a best of 5 grand finals. We've come a long way since the single round robins. We've come a long way since the first day. But you're watching the final day of the Oceania Aeos Cup here. And it's going to be between Team Gap, not a team many were expecting to make it this far, against the kings of the region, Ground Zero.
Wow, $10,000 is on the line. 500 championship points is on the line as well. It's anybody's game. Ground Zero is currently win the winner's bracket. They got double life in this time, and they are on the offense in the bottom side, having the additional lead with those wild Pokemon all the way to Luge. Things are looking great for them.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, just to get this out of the way, as we see that Froakie go down, that is not a good sign for Ground Zero to start. OM Beagle already exerting dominance, but we do have to remind the audience watching at home that even if Team Gap take this first series to all 3 games, there will be a bracket reset, which means they have to play the best of 5. Essentially, Team Gap needs to win 2 best of 5s in a row against Ground Zero to take home that 10,000.
Yes, that is also a possibility of us watching 10 games right here today. So this is gonna be an interesting finals. But right here, Team Gap 3v2 pushing down the bottom side. Those Hurricanes are putting to work, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, this is the power of the Kramer. We talked about it as soon as we saw it since yesterday. That Whirlpool can really send you for a loop there. But Ground Zero, they're gonna hold their stance here in this bot path. As Joe, you know, we've seen him time and time again get bullied out. We saw the Froakie fall in the top half. Not the nicest look for Ground Zero early on, but Joe and Suluwu, these two, this duo are the comeback kings. You know, they're gonna make magic happen later on in the game. You just gotta watch.
Yeah, exactly as what you said. We've seen time and time after again, Joe, Suluwu, Feather, these 3 are just wreaking havoc against their opponent, and they're not gonna stop, and they don't intend to stop in this matchup. Feather already at level 5. Once it's reached at level 6, the Aurora Veil is online as well. Team Gap really have to rush this one, but Dawn getting caught by OM Beagle.
Yeah, and this is not the recipe for success. If you play against Team Gap, first thing on your checklist is make sure OM Beagle doesn't get this early start. Already level 7, making headway towards that Water Burst Shuriken at level 9 for this first Dreadnought is not gonna bode well for you if you want to take a game off them.
Yep, it's down to Ground Zero now. How will Suluwu react? The only answer is taking 1 or 2 picks, but Feather might be a little bit of danger right here with the
Oh no, that's the captain down. Hyperspace Hole gonna be able to get the Blissey out, but Lush as well. He's gonna come back to see another Hyperspace Hole bringing his opponents out. But OM Beagle! Suluwu and Joe, the burst damage, we talked about it, the Serena and Greninja combo. This dynamic duo is not gonna relent as they take out OM Beagle as soon as we sing his praises. Suluwu answers right back. He says, "You're talking about the other guy, look at me, baby."
These 2 monsters from Ground Zero is not allowing them to have any rest. Hyperspace Hole immediately potting them down, but on the bottom side, both sides on the crunch right now.
Yeah, Jurak gonna get run down. Team Gap running in with OM Beagle. There's the Water Burst Shuriken straight onto the back lines of Ground Zero. And OM Beagle, Suluwu, they can't surface a fight. They get pulled back by the Hyperspace Hole, trying to finish it off. And I think OM Beagle manages to get it with the surf. So huge play coming out from Team Gap. And in the face of certain defeat, OM Beagle still manages to snatch that win.
That Hyperspace Hole literally brought them away from the Dreadnought at the most crucial timing, but I don't think without it, they wouldn't be able to survive what OM Beagle got to offer. Because right here, Ground Zero still have the time to turn the tide. Sarita is ready at level 9. Queen Majesty is online.
Yeah, and we talked about this Queenly Majesty coming out from the Serena, right? It's really only a pick that Joe on Ground Zero has been piloting. No real top half laner in Oceania has been piloting it quite the same way. You could see it come out here as pressure being melted by Ground Zero on this top half. The Water gonna get dropped off by the Surf. OM Beagle gonna be traded out for Suluwu, and the Gatling Gaunt missile signals the retreat. Ground Zero, they need to give way in this top half. They can't continue this aggression. But Joe, he's back here, caught in a rough way. Jurak gonna clean that one up post Gatling Gaunt missile, and it's pretty even trades all together as they still want to fight here. Yamisuke being all locked up. The CC is so strong, but the Amnesia is stronger. You can't take me down if I just forget all the damage you're dealing to me. The Surf as well to clean up that Hoopa, and this is such an extended fight. So Luwu's back to clean it up. He wants to put an end to this, and he does. Nails that duo of Team Gap lingering around, and now they're gonna be the ones on the road.
Well, Suluwu have to be a little bit careful. OM Beacon right here, but Jurak on that Cramorant, Surf to no one. But right here, Ground Zero is just pushing in, not allowing anyone to have this rest that they need. 35 seconds till the next Dreadnought. I think it's gonna be interesting.
Suluwu, a bit too aggressive for his own good, gets tagged up by the Shadow Ball, and just because of that, too slow to get out. The special defense reduction also coming into play there as Team Gap are able to take out the Greninja on the Ground Zero side. Now, key thing to note here is that Ground Zero, they weren't able to push the Rotom anywhere past the Tier 1. So, a bit unfortunate for them, couldn't capitalize really on that objective, and now Team Gap are positioned for this Dreadnought Rings Unbound powered by Tofu Beam.
Rings Unbound by both sides as well. There we have Hyperspace Fury back and forth. Unite move everywhere, but seems like all we see is blue right now as the orange side is just crumbling. They got the Dreadnought and they are gonna push a close to Team White as the Jurek comes to the rescue but unable to get any. But I believe right here, Ground Zero is still gonna push. Down goes Jurek as well. This is gonna be 40 points straight right to the bottom side for overdunked. Ground Zero is pushing it 218 to 36.
And Cameron, a little bit late to that fight, would have loved to see the Gatling Gun missile, but I don't know whether it was on cooldown or what happened there, but Team Gap, I guess they just didn't have the Unite moves. I was watching for that Hydro Typhoon, never came out. And just because of that, Ground Zero, they're able to secure their lead here, 218, and it feels like every single move that Ground Zero is making, Team Gap are just hanging on by a thread. They're managing to hold on to their boots, they're managing to, stay strong in the whirlwind that Ground Zero are coming towards them at, but that is not enough against the best team in Oceania.
Well, if you want to hold on, you got to hold on for the next 3 minutes right now because this is going to be interesting as right here, Joe and Suluwu is already at level 12. Like, these powerhouses have to be stopped by Team Gap if they really want to take home this one, but Joe is still on the rampage right over here.
Oh, the stomp! Don't tell me he gets another one! Trump kick double! And the Trump kick away! This Joe player is so cracked on this arena. He just constantly knows the limits of this Pokemon and just maneuvers it to perfection, always baiting in his opponents and slamming it home with the burst damage.
Well, it's not just Joe, it's not just Suluwu, but Feather as well. They're all down, splashing onto this Rotom, and they will be on the offense. Team Gap knows that no one is at the bottom side as they will be pushing 4 men down, trying to get as much points as possible. Hyperspace Hole coming in, and the rest of the team comes over. I think this might be a great fight.
Yeah, Dawn actually gets caught out by that surf combo, but it's not enough to hold them down. Jurek with the nice Hurricane to keep Sulu away, but it's only momentarily as Ground Zero, they're starting to tear up Aeos Stadium here. OM Beagle not able to get through the hole, and Sulu not gonna be outdone. I believe that is a KO streak of 3 for him, but 4 in total to drop for Ground Zero as they take commanding lead. 20 seconds left until this Zapdos fight, but they're gonna be able to secure the last and final Dreadnought for themselves.
So Ground Zero know exactly who's the right person to take out first. First, you take out the Kramer and then the OM Beagle on the Greninja. This way, there's no firepower coming in from Team Gap. There's no water, there's no surf, baby. You can't turf anything on me.
Yeah, and the big thing for us right now is we're looking at this Blastoise Kite. He's played his role and he's played it well throughout this entire series. But Tubin, he's gonna be a drop. Tubin just drops the deck and Jurek to follow next. Yamisuke has the slow beam, but where's the damage? OM Beagle, you can't surf on this. He's still standing very strong. And Joe makes it a second, goes on the Yamasuke as well. Meanwhile, they clean up the Blastoise on the back line and they just take the Zapdos with ease. Joe faced it. Joe diff. That Serena just completely disintegrated the side of Team Gap, and we talked about the water spots. Composition. What better than a grass type to put it all to shame?
This guy on a mangosteen lady is unstoppable, guys. Someone please stop this guy because he is on a rampage. First, take out that Hoopa, no rings unbound for you. Takes out that Kerberan, no hurricane for you. Takes out OM Beagle, no carry for you. And now they takes out the Zapdos, no win for you. Ground Zero will be taking home this one 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, there's still 1 minute left on the clock. Let's not call it just yet. But for all intents and purposes, they kind of need to make a miracle happen here. And it doesn't look like it's on the horizon as Jurek just gets knocked down by Feather. The stable bot side of that Blissey and Alolan Ninetales, they held their way through that tough early stage and they managed to make it work. Feather and Luge, they've been we don't really talk about them very much, but each of the parts, each of the moving gears of Ground Zero coming together to just outplay their opponents. I think the point I was trying to make, and we should probably point this out if we see a Hydro Typhoon, but it's to no avail as he gets taken out, is this Blastoise. He's been playing his role so well throughout this entire tournament, but they really targeted him, right? With Joe, with the insistence coming out from Sulumu, they really ruined this game as the Queen is center, just gonna knock Yamisuke up. But I mean, at this point, they're just kind of corralling Team Gap back to their base. The first game is gonna go over easily to the side of Ground Zero, as there's no fight for Team Gap. No win for you, just like you said, Mooney. And Team Gap, they're gonna drop the first game of the Grand Finals over to the Kings of OCE.
Wow, I mean, that is a really good display coming in from Ground Zero. They picked the right moment, they picked the right target, so that this way they are unable to scale, pick off the Squirtle really early so that it wouldn't get into a Blastoise as much as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Grand Finals for game number 2 with Team Gap going against Ground Zero, with Ground Zero having 1 point up of Team Gap.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait a while before the teams are revealed, but it is gonna be that Absol. So the water park has a bit of an edgy new visitor this time. They've decided to switch it up. No more Blastoise means no more Hydro Typhoon. But the trade-off is gonna be this insane amount of early game damage that can really bring the heat to Ground Zero. We haven't seen Ground Zero really touched at all. They've been able to execute this game plan time and time again. Now this Absol could really be a thorn in their side.
Yep, especially, the Absol being a basic Pokemon, he is able to bully this level, like multiple stage Pokemon with ease, right? He would have so much good early game as well. This Bondsweep, this Froakie has no match against an Absol. So as long as he could keep this up, punish Ground Zero's basic Pokemon as much as possible. So this way, he would be ahead of their opponent, and that Absol would be a terror or even a bearer of bad news.
Yeah, bearer of bad news indeed. That is the Pokemon after all. But right now, really got to give props to Joe, because I feel like, when you're playing Pokemon like this arena, the early stages are where you're most vulnerable. He's been able to come out of those on top, but not this time round, not against the bearer of bad news himself. Kite is going to deliver that straight to his doorstep and be like, you're out of here.
Exactly, like this is what I'm talking about, right? Being an Absol, you are able to bully this stage basic Pokemon as with ease. But here, Sulu is not allowing them to rest. He's going to offense, but down goes to the Absol as well. Like, take a look. This is once again. Once he's ahead, it's really difficult to stop. So you don't really want to feed into the Absol really much.
Yeah, the thing about Absol, like you say time and time again, punishes these single stage Pokemon. It's the levels 1 to 5 that this Pokemon can absolutely catch you off guard, with the crits coming out from his passive and 15% increase in those. So you really need to be careful. A lot of times when you practice you're staying in lane in your path, you have these rough numbers. These players have played enough games. They understand just how far they can take their health pass. They understand how they can use their resources. But with the increased chance of crit, you can never be sure.
Yep, I love it how, the Hoopa from Ground Zero immediately rotates to the top side to help out Joe a little bit more, because he needs those support. But right here, the Absol might be caught up, but it immediately manages to just dodge out of there alive. But right here on the bottom side, it seems like Ground Zero still have the lead with a Feather on the Ninetales.
Right, so they don't really have any support in terms of something like a Blissey for this Absol coming in. But it's interesting to note that Absol can always proc his Sucker Punch, right? Just because of the fact that you have so much AoE damage coming from the Serena, coming from the Ninetales, that as they fight for the Bees in this bot side, Team Gap, they're going to widen the gap here in this top side by taking down 2. And now it's time for the rotation to the Dreadnought.
Yeah, take a look at the level side as well. OM Beagle is already at level 9 on the Greninja. That means that Water Burst Shrieker is online for this Dreadnought fight. This is not where you want to be against Team Gap.
We've already seen what OM Beagle can do with this. In comes the Water Burst Shuriken, grabs it onto the backline, straight onto that Hoopa, but not able to do much for now. Luge gonna find his way through the portal, but Sulu was the one who's caught, forced into a bit of a weird spot. Now Ground Zero, they need to respond, but Serena's not here. Can they steal it away? Absolutely not. OM Beagle says, this bot path, this objective is my territory. It's mine and I'm gonna claim it. I'm gonna claim a KO streak of 4 while I'm at it. I'm gonna break open your bot goal, and this, Sulu, this is how you play Greninja.
Well, this is how you play Greninja, but Joe is showing you how to play Zarina, because right here, as Team Gap is pushing down in the bottom side, Joe is just farming all day long, all by himself, alone at the top side. And there we have, he's already at level 8, but the rest of the team comes from Team Gap. I think Joe is unable to get out of this one.
Oh dear, it all was looking okay until Kite came around to ruin his day. I feel like Kite, he packed so much damage. It's what we're talking about, the Absol pick. Didn't expect any adaptation, but love to see it here from Team Team Gap. In comes the Water Sugar, Sunuo wants the party, but Kite already dropping low. No, the Midnight Slash dodge! The energy pushes them away, and just when it looked like they could grab that Absol, it absolutely falls flat on their head. Now the Sucker Punch in as well, stunning up Feather, but there is the Aurora Veil to keep them up and running. That Absol is finally going to drop to the deck, so they need to be so careful. Two supporters as well as OM Beagle. They don't have the damage to deal with Joe right now. As the Snow Glow comes up, they're starting to clean up. OM Beagle needs to be careful, but he can't get away from the Queen, baby. As they answer right back, Ground Zero are not going to be denied so easily.
Wow, it's Feather with that Unite move that saved everyone out of that situation, giving them an additional shield to sustain so that Lush would be able to heal them up with the Blissey, gets the Rotom, and immediately back to farming they go. Right now, it's about close to the Dreadnought time, and it's Ground Zero really have to try to pick up the Hoopa. Dawn, level 8 on the Hoopa is still not what it is yet, but now it's time to go. Whoever reached their first level 9 on the Hoopa is going to have the Rings Unbound, and they will have that advantage in that second Dreadnought.
Yeah, as we see come out in 9 seconds there, we see something that's not as prevalent in this tournament, the Buddy Barrier nerfs, and because of that, a lot of players are omitting that item from their health items. But we see that Ninetales carrying that Buddy Barrier as the fight kicks off. Rings Unbound on both sides, being very conservative in terms of their portal placement. They don't want to put their teammates under any threat. There's Yamisuke, OM Beagle, bringing up the rear. Can they get the steal? Absolutely not. Ground Zero, they'll be the ones to grab it this time. And there's the Water Shuriken dancing all over them right now. It's fall down on the side of Ground Zero, so they get an objective, but at what cost? Team Gap, they wipe it down.
Wow, you get the objective. I'm gonna even it up. Gap is just evening the gap right now, and they are extending the lead because right here, Ground Zero really have to try to find himself a footing as Team Gap just strike right into their scaling point.
Yeah, anyway, so here's the thing. I'm saying that throughout this entire tournament, I feel like teams with this nerf, they've started to drop the Buddy Barrier, right? This could be the one that catches them off guard because that's how Ground Zero ended up winning that fight in the top side. Feather came in, he just said, "You're my best friend," and he just shielded him up, right? And this is not something that Team Gap are expecting, but they might not be expecting this Absol as well. Midnight Slash in, but here are the storms from Joe. You can't write him off. Drop kick away for the shield, but now OM Beagle in some trouble. Smoke screen, but stomped over its head, and now Ground Zero answer right back. Once again, it's the barriers that keep them up and running.
Exactly, my best friend barriers is exactly does what it does. But Joe taking out the right picks at that moment as well. Take out OM Beagle, takes out that Absol, and he is on the road. The Zapdos is all for themselves. This might be the comeback that Ground Zero need, and right here is all down to this. They are pushing down the bottom side hard.
Yeah, so we talked about how this... Okay, we're seeing this defense first. I'll get to that later. As the rest of the side of Team Gap, they want to defend. The score shield not going to be broken over by Lush, so he gets the deposit in. But already, the Koopa going to drop on the backside. But here is OM Beagle to try and clean up. Joe has his eyes on that Greninja. Can't get the drop kick in. Straight onto Jurek though. But they're starting to kite this Serena. It doesn't have the resets available for now. The stop straight on the ground. That's not the drop kick that he wanted. Has to back off, but has to support the Aurora Veil. And they are going to get out of that situation. But meanwhile, Kite in this top side, depositing it in. I wanted to tell you about this Absol, Moonboy, because we've seen the dominance in the early stage, but going to the later stage, it's a bit harder to pull off those same moves.
Yeah, as long as he has that lead, he's able to just, bully them as much as possible. So if he's up and scaling and on par with the opponent, that Absol will still continuing be really scary as well. But Joe right there in the bottom side, that maneuver is not just trying to get that Cramorant, but also allowing the rest of the team to score and close up that tier 1 hoop. And that is a great maneuver coming in from Ground Zero.
Yeah, Yamisuke gonna start it off with a surf here. We're gonna see as the Rings Unbound pops out. There's a huge snow glow onto 2, takes them down immediately. Kite needs to make magic happen, but can't get the touch. Feather standing his ground. Time and time again, this Alolan Ninetales will not be touched. As Ground Zero, they flip it at the Zapdos pit and say no, 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 wait, Team Gap, Water Shuriken. It's a bit too late in early. Nobody steals it. OM Beagle, he steals it. He steals it, so he manages to leave the Ghost defenseless. But now, Ground Zero, they still have all 5 members up. They need to make a push. They are going to forgo the bot side, are they? The score shield from Lush gonna be broken up. Jurek The Gatling Gun missile finishes the deal. Ground zero. What happened?
My God! I mean, Team Gap timed it perfectly at this point in time. It's down to Joe. Is he able to get this dunk off this one as Kite comes to the rescue as well, stopping Joe, chasing Joe away. Joe is in the bad position. Queen Majesty coming in. OMBigo is low. Storm resets, gets OMBigo off that one, but Kite is unable to catch him off with my goodness, Joe is on the run.
Joe, you can send an army, but it's gonna be a slow blow to finish him off. A nice little outplay from the Serena, but is it going to matter? Now, Lush, keep in mind, this is the Pokemon with the score shield. He has to be the one to make it happen, but look at the points that he's carrying. 50 is not an easy number to get in. He's gonna try, but the slow blow can't cut through it. No! The score shield nerfs, my friends. The score shield nerf in the latest patch. Look at Lush. He's trying desperately to get these points in, but the defenders are there from Team Gap. They're denying him.
Wow, Ice is gonna be on Feather. He has the lead score right now, and right here, Ground Zero, all they need is just one dunk. That's right. And Lush is just trying to go for it. 50 points. Feather down. I think it's not looking good for Ground Zero, as Team Gap might be taking home this game, and it's 1-1 in this grand finals. Oh my God.
What? How? What just happened? KO streak of 4 to close that one out as the teams just go blow for blow, 1-1 right now in this grand finals. What an insane way to end. So the thing about Joe that we've seen so far as we get into this grand finals game number 3, Ground Zero, they have so much faith in their top half player, right? On Joe, they always leave him to his own devices, but he still manages to come out on top. But this time round, you might want to play it a little bit more safe, and Moonboy, your prediction was correct. They're going to bring that Koopa to the top side instead.
Yep, and that would allow the top side to have a little bit of breathing room. But that being said, Lush is not allowed Team Gap to have any breathing space. Immediately going in, trying to slap that Bluebird out of his dreams. But he's here to steal all this wild Pokemon off their hands.
Yeah, doesn't manage to stop Feather from getting that early level 4 though, so immediately that power spike gonna come online. We talked about it time and time again, this combination of Lush and Feather in this bot side, they're just stable and they're just secure.
Yeah, I mean, they are taking up so much wild Pokemon right here, and they are already at the final stage of their evolution. And right here, it's all down to Ground Zero. How are they going to react to that Zapdos? Because that will be very painful, especially when the Zapdos start hitting with those crits coming on.
Yeah, okay, so quiet time for Sulubu. Don't reveal him right now as both players from the central area. OMBigo not at that Frogadier just yet, so they're gonna back out without losing any casualties here. So nice little controlled play, because a lot of the times in these games so far, we've seen how that first flank maneuver from the central area Pokemon actually dictates the entire pace.
Yep, right now, it's looking really good for the Ground Zero, especially when Sulu starts to clear up the central area Pokemon when it's near the river area, right? So he's taking a little bit more EXP compared to what OMBigo is going to have, and especially right here. However, Jurek is already at level 5. Though most of his move is online right now, so it's down to them. How are they going to deal with that pesky bird?
Yeah, we talked about it time and time again. It is that Hurricane and the Surf combo coming out from Jurek, and he's been able to do so much work. Cramorant, not really a Pokemon that we've seen prior to this patch, right? It sort of faded out, but with that buff to the Gulp Gatling missile, it has come back alive, right? That firepower in the team fights is really what Team Gap have utilized as a stance, as a strong barrier for them. It's like Ground Zero, you cannot come into our Cramorant.
Yeah, that really did change everything for the Cameron gameplay. And the past, we have seen so much Cameron in this weekend, but Astonish coming in onto Joe, and it seems like right here, Team God might be wanting to go for the offense, but Ground Zero is going to say, nope, try again.
Oh, look at how fast they rotate, immediately dropping that hyperspace hole, and Team Gap are going to look towards this top half. This is going to be the first fight. It's not often that you see so much emphasis on this top half. But once again, like we said, it's Joe and this Absol that are the difference makers as the fight breaks out. They're going to wipe out 2 in an instant.
Ooh.
The crits, Moonboy, the crits. Kite just slashes them up, and Omega Beagle just knocks them down. Jurek here to support as well. And traditionally, like we said, you'd see the emphasis on the bot path, but they recognize they can't let Joe get out of control. Now they're answering right back onto Lush and Feather.
Wow, the first Dreadnought is out right here. Team Gap is on the move, taking out Feather and Lush. In the meantime, I don't think Ground Zero is able to contest for this one. All they have to do is wait for the rest of the teammate and go for the defense. But I think they might want to try a little bit something sneaky and go for the steal. Because right here, Team Gap got their Dreadnought all to themselves. And Dawn trying to be a little bit sneaky, but unable to get the Astonish off it.
Yeah, Sulubu a little bit late to the party as well, and Dawn more than likely gonna drop. Not able to get through that hyperspace hole, as now Team Gap, they're really starting to cause Ground Zero to bleed out here. They're dropping the ball a little bit, they're starting to get dismantled, and just like how Ground Zero did to them in game number 1, Moonboy, you talked about it, how do you break a perfectly working machine? You pick at each individual chord, you just slowly throw them off their balance, and just like that, Ground Zero, they're starting to lose a bit of control, but Joe still getting the Rotom in this top half.
Yeah, this is where actually Joe starts to scale, right? Joe is holding on to 2 stacking item, and then he has to start dunking and get those 6 up. And when he's left all alone in the top side, he's free to dunk as much as he wants. And right here, Joe is likely to be fully scaled. And you know, it seems like Ground Zero usually tend to let go of the first Dreadnought, but now with Joe back on the fight, it's time for them to go, baby. But right here, Free Majesty onto that Absol, down it goes as the rest of Team Gap scrambles, and Joe is on the move with those storms, and it thinks Tufo Bin might be out of this one yet, but drop kick in this one, and he's gonna be getting out of this alive.
Yeah, like you said, the emphasis this game or this series has become one of those top path players. Kite, he's not exactly been a shining star, but he put on such a performance for Team Gap in the game number 2. Now Joe, with those items stacked up, he was left alone on that top side for quite a bit, and he's ready to fight. Comes into the fight with that Queen's Ascendant and knocks out the opponent top path Absol, right? So with that, they're not really able to stand up against him, and Joe's just continuing to scale.
Yeah, Ground Zero is all ready right now, and now it's gonna be eyes on those Hoopas once again. We've seen the top side actually does his thing. We thought the bottom side did his thing as well, but now it's gonna be eyes on the Hoopa. Whoever is gonna be looking up their wings unbound once again for that second Dreadnought is gonna be really important, as both Hoopa is already at level 9.
I think key thing we have to note is this man on our screen right there, Jurek as well, with the Gatling Gun missile, can lay in a lot of hurt. They're going to drop down the Aurora Veil in a nice spot. There's the Kramer call in the top side, immediately popping that Gatling Gun, but there's too much damage for him to deal with. The Bluebird gets knocked down, and the rest of the side of Team Gap, they can't contend with this. Midnight Slash out, but to no avail, and KO streak of 3, fall aside of Ground Zero. In comes Omega Beagle, but he can't get this one without the help of his team, and Ground Zero, they answer right back.
Yeah, that is exactly what Ground Zero is all about. Once everyone is fully skilled, they move together with such perfection as the rest of the team immediately rotates top, while Joe just distracts everybody down in the bottom side. And even though Kite is all alone on top, that is not where he want to be. Therefore, backing off and farming off.
So here we're starting to see the weakness of the app. So we didn't get to say a lot about it earlier in game number 2 because it just never came out. But Absol, when you get into those later stages and you're not exactly the powerhouse towering over everyone else on the opponent's side, that's where things can get dicey. When you commit like that, you don't have someone like a Blissey to get you out. And once you're in the fight, if you don't Midnight Slash dodge all of their moves, you can get picked off really quick.
Yeah, Ground Zero now is just preparing for that one final fight, preparing that Zarina. You look at this, Sulu immediately giving Zarina the central area Pokemon as well, getting them those buffs from the Ludicolo and the Buffalon. This way, she will be ready for the fight later on in that Zapdos pit. And right here is just all about, you know, getting up that Unite, getting up to the max level, because right here, that Feather on the Ninetales is not yet level 12 or even 13.
Okay, but speaking of Feather, I do have to give him props. I feel like I've been mentioning this name over and over, but for good reason. The Aurora Veil placement is so important in stopping that Cramorant damage coming out from the Gatling Gun missile. Now both teams, they're sizing up this central area because they want to see whether they can get a pick or not leading into this final stretch.
Yeah, no more objective is online, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, sorry, as the last Dreadnought is going to be online pretty soon as well. This Slowbro is being caught up by Ground Zero. Ground Zero is just moving together right here. There's no reason to split up at this point. We got to stick together. We got to move as a team, because right here is all about teamwork. One small little sleep and you are out of the game.
I have to point at this, Slowbro. I really do. And I'm not trying to say anything, but all I'll say is that the games that Team Gap have lost have been ones where Yamisuke gets caught out on this Slowbro first. He can't afford to let them find him. He needs to be that strong force. If he's leading the fight, he needs to be slow beaming an important target. If they take him out, he is the last remnants of their CC to set up for the rest of the team. Oh, Joe knows where they are. Straight onto Jurek. Finds them straight onto this Cramorant. Can the Queen's Ascendant come out? The Gatling Gun missile. That Joe and Serena is gonna get dropped. And meanwhile, Ground Zero answering back with 2 of their own. They make it 3. They're straight onto Tufu Beam. And Slowbro, he's not the one caught out now, but they managed to take out the rest of his team. And Ground Zero with a KO streak of 3. This is what we talked about for Ground Zero. You take out Joe, but Solubu is still online.
Wow, I immediately speed right through the Zapdos, but the Kramer and Absol and Hoopa is back online from Team Gap, unable to reach the Zapdos in time, and down goes the Zapdos. Ground Zero will be marching straight right in. Look at those maneuvers that they did previously, clamping them down, immediately know what's their position and just go for the flank, go for the ambush, and Joe did that strike initiation, and the rest of the team just follow up and swoop it out, and Ground Zero gets their Zapdos, and they will be taking the lead. 508, 8186, 1 more minute on the clock. Team Gap still have to scramble for this one.
Ground Zero say, fool me once, I won't get fooled again. They already got outmaneuvered by OM Beagle once. They were sure to target him down. And even though I was pointing at the Slowbro, this time it was that Greninja OM Beagle who got found out first. Joe, we were watching him throughout the entire fight, but away from that, the rest of the side of Ground Zero were dealing with that Greninja. So just because of that, Team Gap, they aren't able to close it this time. And even though we have 40 seconds left of the match, take a look at where Team Gap's Pokemon are. I think they realize as well that this is just about hopeless.
Yeah, I think right here they're just gonna be, trying to hold on to their hopes as well. Try to take out 1 or 2 picks in the meantime, but I don't think it's gonna be winnable for Team Gap at this point. And even right here, Sulu just took out OM Beagle with ease, but however down to the Gatling gun as well. But Queen Majesty, Queen Ascendance down on Jurek. I think at this point it's just formality, right? Formality and fun. But Ground Zero get this one 2-1.
Yeah, Joe still 1v3 here casually. No big deal. Drop kick shield as time's up, and Team Gap, their chances are up as well. They are 1 game away from losing out in this grand finals. As Ground Zero go up 2-1, they've got to be feeling good. I think they got a bit thrown off there by that Absol pick. As we get into what could be the final deciding game, Team Gap, if they still want a chance at that top spot, the $10,000 on the line, they need to play the game of their lives here. But Ground Zero, they're straight up chilling. They even picked the Azumarill as if their dominance was not enough. Azumarill's passive, huge power, just to flex on them a little bit more. Ground Zero 1 game away from being the champions. We're gonna have to see how it all plays out, Mooney.
Yeah, as much as we want to focus on the new Pokemon, we have to focus on the bottom side as well. Whoever gets the lead in the bottom side first likely will be setting the tempo. But right here, Jurek already got most of the wild Pokemon, especially the one in this middle side as well. Because right here, he has the slight advantage against his opponent.
Yeah, and really a bad sign. Absol's usually the bearer of bad news. He's not really used to be the one receiving it. But Ground Zero mails it straight to his door, sends him packing, and gets that early KO on him. So already not the ideal start for Kite here.
Yep, Sulu is already in position to go for the ambush right here as Team Gap managed just start to get in position, try to use Kite to get them to lure them to the beast. But there we go.
Yeah, straight up onto the beast, and even though Azumarill doesn't really have the best secure, it seems like it kind of traded pretty evenly, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. So, but however, we still need to get Joe to the level 5. If he's not Azumarill yet, he can't really make much of an impact. So he got to be really careful because right here, as a Mario, he's still really, really vulnerable to that Absol.
Yeah, so Yamisuke going for that potion, you see the sheer amount of regen that Slowbro can have. It all ties back because of that slack off, right? Increasing the amount of healing, so making that potion essentially become a hyper potion.
Yeah, and especially right now, Ground Zero is already at Lush is already at the Blissey stage right now. Those hurricanes, he have to time those safeguard really well so that he could protect better from the incoming hurricane from the Bluebird.
Yeah, but already taking this early lead, we talked about it time and time again. There's the dynamic duo of Joe and Suluwu just popping off, but there is the stable bastion that is Lush and Feather on this bot side, and they hold strong.
Yep, that is definitely right, because right here, Ground Zero is still trying to push Team Gap back. And right here, Joe, we haven't really seen him done a lot of dunking, right? We saw an attack rate going on him as well, but holding 30 is not the right amount of points that you want to do to hold, especially in the early game with such stacking item.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Team Gap recognized that. I don't know whether they exactly know that Joe has stacking items, but they should have some sort of an idea because look at how they're postured. They want to get this jump on this top path again. They're waiting for Joe to come in. For the beast, he doesn't see anyone. In comes the pursuit. Coming out from Kai, the jumps are in and they take out the Azumarill. So real nice bait there. They bided their time, they were patient, and they managed to get an advantage on this top side. Now, they're dunking in, but they need Tufu to open the gates for them. They need Tufu to bring them to this bot side, but Yamasuke under some threat. There is the potion slack off once again, but already ground zero with the nice positioning on this Dreadnought, and they look like they're wiping it out.
Wow, immediately, knowing that most of the strength of Team Gap is on the top side, they're not allowing them to rest, but Team Gap right over here still on the push. Dawn might be a little bit of trouble. Magician got that Citrus Berry right in front of him just in time. And right here, they're just pushing Ground Zero back. But Ground Zero don't really want to go on the offense. But one thing for sure, that Azumarill on top did get a little bit of EXP from the side lanes of those new Pokemon that just spawned.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Team Gap, they even throw the Water Burst Shurikens in there just to try and contest for that fight. But Ground Zero, they recognize that. They see resources used, we're out. We dip, right? So they understand that, they basically, Team Gap, they threw all that they had in the tank for absolutely nothing.
Yep, Suluwu took that Rotom all by himself. But right here, the Azumarill, Joe on the Azumarill still on the push on the top side. But however, on the bottom side, they're still trying to get some footing. Feather already at level 9. That means the Slow Globe is online. And right here, it seems like Ground Zero might be in a little bit of better position against Team Gap.
Yeah, as they manage to trade out the top half laners, but Ground Zero holding a really nice position in the top half. They see the hole open and they decide to back off. So look at that discipline coming out from Ground Zero. They're not allowing any room for Team Gap to breathe. Even though they're sort of in the lead right now, Team Gap with the 90 points, it doesn't exactly feel that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, that is even though they have the point lead, but still kind of losing in the battle side. But come here, Suluwu getting caught out by Kite as well, being chased down. Safeguard coming in from Lush, but unable to get out there alive. Is on the pursuit. Kite is on to Lush as Lush runs for his life right there, but unable to get him. Kite is still on the hunt, and right here they still got the middle lane position, and they want that Dreadnought, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. As things start to quieten down, we see that evolution, right? Because I think Ground Zero and Team Gap, they both played an immense game when it comes to being aggressive to get this far. But now up against each other, they realize they need to be a lot more disciplined. Now Joe trying to go for a huge dunk, but here is Jurek. But this is not a 1v. Ooh! The Hurricane actually catches him mid Aqua Pulse out, so he's gonna get caught up. I don't know whether he can make it to this fight as the rings are bound pop, and that's gonna be Suluwu to secure it. Now Kite in some trouble. To the Midnight Slash, the energy line's going the wrong way, but he has the Water Burst Shuriken into all of them. But Owen Beagle, he can't clean up, and just like that, fall down on the side of Team Gap as Ground Zero push on.
Wow, I mean, it all boils down. Second Dreadnought is always the time for the rings unbound, but Ground Zero is just pushing the limit, it's just pushing it bounce after bounce after bounce. And there we have, taking down the first tier 1 hoop as well. But as the Azumarill just get us and try to score, Hyperspace Hole brings the whole of Team Gap back to the top side. I think they are all eyes on their Rotom as well.
So with that move, Ground Zero, they take the advantage here. The key thing to note is that Team Gap maybe showing a little bit of desperation here. They lost that fight, they lost the Dreadnought, but they still go in with Jurek. Now they're gonna get taken down on Kite, and Jurek as well gonna drop. They're surging here on Ground Zero in this top side, and they're not done. Here comes Joe with the chase. The pulse away. He's dropping a little low. Where's the sustain? Manages to get the shield, manages to get out. Now it's Yamisuke with the slow beam straight to this Azumarill. That's gonna be the answer back, but he's the only one left behind as he gets Hyperspace hold back. That is not one that he's gonna jump back into, as it's gonna be a KO streak of 2 traded both ways between both teams.
Wow, that push. Ground Zero seems like they're getting higher and higher in terms of the level. They're creating the gap away from Team Gap. So this way, Team Gap has to really find a way. How are they gonna start to get on par with their opponent? They have to start farming on this wild Pokemon as much as possible to get those levels up. We got about 25 more seconds till the next Dreadnought, and that they might want to get those additional EXP from it.
And OM Beagle, biggest thing of all, we have talked about this player for so long, right? Throughout this entire journey. Here, they've overcome so much. They've stolen so many objectives, but very uncharacteristically quiet game for him the past 2. Last game, wasn't really able to find his tempo. This game as well, feels like he's just being outdone by Suluwu, and he doesn't have the backup to enable him. As Suluwu tries to jump in, but thinks better of it, they back up for this Dreadnought instead.
Wow, Ground Zero being so aggressive, right? Pushing them straight right to about the tier 1 area. area so that Team Gap have no space to go into that Dreadnought. Immediately taking down the Dreadnought. 3 Dreadnought. All of the Dreadnought is going straight right to Ground Zero side. They got the additional shield. They got the additional level as well. And the Zapdos go slide about 20 seconds time. And right here, it seems like it's going to be the same maneuver with Joe right on top.
Wait, Feather runs in. There's a sandwich. Joe knows that they're there. Immediately, the Unite moves are popped. But already the slow roll on the deck. We already talked about this. Belly Bash as well. The crits coming out from Azumarill. Gonna finish off that Greninja surely. Chasing him away at the very least. But already the whole side of Team Gap melting. The Greninja is not gonna get out of that one. And in a 1v1, you can't best Joe. He manages to take out the potential carry of Team Gap. Meanwhile, Yamasuke trying to come in. Already dropping that Axel. He's waiting for the sub. He's waiting for the steal. But they are not gonna give it to him. One sub is better than the other. As they are able to get the Zapdos on the side of Ground Zero. And they're storming straight for the double score.
Wow, Kite tried to do that sneaky, but no, you go back to sleepy. Ground Zero said, immediately melting him from full bar to 0, and that is exactly what they did. Moving together as a unit. I'm not gonna wait any longer. I'm gonna go for the engage, says Feather, and immediately clamping down Ground Zero. It seems like deja vu from game number 2.
Yeah, and that's gotta be heartbreak for the side of Team Gap. They thought they had the better position. They thought they were sneaky, but way beforehand, way before they even got to their spot, Joe was there. Joe saw them all walk into that brush and in with the belly bash, in with the rest of the team. It looked like Feather was falling for their trap, but the bait was perfect. The trap was set, and with that, Ground Zero, they are a flat 400 points ahead. There doesn't seem like a way for Team Gap to answer.
Well, we still have 40 more seconds on the clock. Team Gap might have this one, but instead Team Gap go for the jiggy, wiggy, and they are dancing near their goal. So I think this is it. This is going to be GG, and Ground Zero will be taking this home for this Aeos Cup.
Yeah, I mean, GZ easy, right? Their money is not gonna jiggle, but they definitely are, as they are gonna walk away in just about 20 seconds. But in our eyes, in everybody knows, it's already decided. Ground Zero, they've waited a long time for this one. Second place in February, third place in March, but the Kings are gonna sit on their throne. They will not be denied by the underdogs. No miracle story for you today, as Joe, he brings his team to victory here on that Azumarill. The huge power that this team holds, they're gonna show it in full force. They are the Kings of Oceania.
Wow, there's such a display. 3:1, 108 to 614, going straight right to Ground Zero, taking home $10,000, 500 championship points, and not forgetting taking the title of the Aeos Cup champions.